In the city of Chicago, basketball's it. There's nothing, I mean, there's nothing else. Any neighborhood you go into Chicago, south side, west side, basketball runs the city.
I make sure that by the time that I leave wherever I came from, that they respect Chicago. Make them understand, you know, that ain't nothing sweet when you come out here.
And this neighborhood could be much better. And this neighborhood would be pretty good, but it's just the people in this neighborhood that make so much trouble and make it not safe for the kids.
Right now, there could be 10 kids playing high school basketball in Chicago right now who would go on to be top 10 picks in the NBA draft, which is just absurd for one city. Now, Tyquone, if he had been, say, class of 2009, you know, a class right before this talent boom, he would already have been written about in the paper and everything, but it just so happens there's all these good players in the city and people are overwhelmed, and a kid like Tyquone can sneak under the radar because he just started really playing organized basketball like a year or two ago.
This is my house. I've been living in for 6 or 7 years now, and I got a call from my dad, and which he told me was my house had burned down because of the neighbors upstairs. Niece and daughter was playing with matches, and the bed caught a fire. I've been living here for 6 years, and I kind of got attached to the house, so to get a call during AAU season was not even expected. So, I mean, it hurt me, but I just got to move on. Well, in this area, it's not no beach or no movie theater, but if you go, they got movie theaters in other neighborhoods. But around in this neighborhood where I stay, not too much to do around here. That's why a lot of kids around here be in so much trouble. This right here is the notorious Chicago Avenue, as you can see. It's kind of a good neighborhood, but at the same time, it's a bad neighborhood because of the young people who like to hang around on the corners, as you can see. But my dad don't like me up here a lot because of the reputation they got. A lot of people be getting shot and killed up here. He know I'm not the type of person that'll get into drug dealing and stuff like that, hanging out on the corner. You know I'm not the type of person. It's just the fact he don't want me to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I understand.
I remember watching him for the first time. I was over at Orr High School with Coach Adams. It was just in a open gym. There was no one guarding him. So Coach Adams told me, he's like, I got one for you, Dan. I got one for you, Dan. I go in the gym, and I just watch this kid just dribbling around and shooting and just, you know, laying up and dunking. I'm just like, oh my God, Coach Adams got one.
I mean, he got 3-4 dimensions he can play. He can dribble the ball, he can shoot the ball, he can rebound. I think in a year or two, he'd probably be one of the best players in the country. He haven't really did anything yet.
The city of Chicago has a unique basketball culture, different than any other city. They have the Chicago Public League. There's like 130-some schools, and the top division, the red division, there's 64 teams. If you can make it in the Chicago Public League, NCAA is a piece of cake.
The guard play goes to another level, and due to that, I mean, you got guards such as myself that are defensive-minded. You got guys like Derrick that are gonna go at you every play. Nobody really takes a day off.
There are big-time programs that are traditionally, you know, have the top players every single year. You got Whitney Young, who probably has every single year at least 7 to 8 Division I players on the roster at least.
There is no school in the city of Chicago like Whitney Young. Whitney Young is, I guess, the poster boy school for the Chicago Public League, what every school wishes it could be like. It's where Michelle Obama went, and a ton of distinguished alumni. Jahlil Okafor and Paul White are the only set of teammates ranked in the top 25 in the nation for their grade. Jahlil Okafor possesses a complete package of skills. His game has no real weakness. Right now, most of the major websites have him as the number 2 or number 3 player in the nation for his age group. Many consider Paul White to be like Jahlil's sidekick, but it's funny because if he was at any other school in the nation other than Whitney Young, he would be the superstar, getting all the hype. But I think it's actually probably best for him that he is in the situation he's in, because Jahlil makes fun of him all the time and pushes him to get better.
I think Jahlil, I don't think he that good. Nah, I mean, Jahlil, he looks like Shaq himself, so, you know, I always tell him, like, don't let nobody stop you.
Paul, he's a really great player. They have him at number 21 in Strout. I don't think that's right because I don't think there's 20 players better than him.
Me personally, I don't feel like that I should be 21 in the nation. I'm grateful for what I have, but I feel like that I could be much better. What keeps me hungry is my dead cousin. He always talked to me about making it to the league, how I make things better for my family, and unfortunately, somebody shot him. Every time like I felt myself giving up, I always make sure that I just think about what happened to my, my cousin. So, I try to use that as motivation as well in order to get where I want to go.
I guess as a Chicago area kid, the ultimate goal is to play in the NBA. I think the basketball culture in Chicago it's the way it is because in Chicago, if you're the best player, you got to guard the best player. You got to be able to hold your own in Chicago, and I think that just having that pride when we bring it to, when I bring it to New York, I think my presence will be felt.
Elite basketball players take really there's two different tracks that you can take to the top. There's the Paul White, Jahlil Okafor track, which is you get recognized very early on in your career. From the time Jahlil and Paul were in 6th or 7th grade, they'd already been, selected as, future top players, being recruited by high schools. Those players will generally just, stay in the spotlight.
There is pressure because everybody wants to be Whitney Young.
It's challenging. You can never really rest. You have to always constantly work because there's always somebody there trying to take your spot.
Then there's the kid who isn't noticed, the kid who's in the shadows, the kid who has to work his way into the spotlight, and that's Tyquone Greer. No one in the city of Chicago knew his name coming into high school. He did not even realize he was a good basketball player until he started going up against top-ranked players and outplaying them.
When we ended up playing it was this boy out there, we didn't really get out on him. They just passed him the ball. He just launched it. Everybody ran in for the rebound.
I had no idea who he was.
And it just fell right through, and we just looked at him like, man, that was a lucky shot.
He's like 6'6", he can do a lot, he's real athletic.
He did it about 4 more times in a row, and we was like, man, who is this kid? And by the end of the game, I ended up knowing who he was.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, you can tell the kids that have earned their way to where they want to be. I mean, we have our 3 top clienteles, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. Okay, no one thought they were going to be who they were. Okay, going into high school, going into college, coming into the pros, they earned everything that was theirs. Nothing was given to them. And, with a lot of adversity that they had growing up in their younger basketball days is what's made them who they are now.
Recently, my mama had a stroke, but it's because she was stressing because all the stuff that's been going on, like the house catching on fire. I got a younger brother and a younger sister, age 11 and 12. And my mom, since she moved out of town to work, and my dad, it seemed like he always at work, I need to help babysit and look after them. My little brother, he played football, and my little sister, like a cheerleader. So I had to get them to practice, go pick them up from school. And after that, I make sure I'm in the gym.
Right now, the camp we're going to be going to is a Chicago Super Session. Tyquone Greer has never been in an environment like what he's going to experience at 5-star camp. And it's an invite-only camp for basically the Division I prospects in the Midwest. 100 kids will pack the gym and go at it for 3 days. But this is going to be, I think, an eye-opening experience for him because he's used to being the best player, coming out and playing against the best the Midwest has to offer. So he is, I believe, one of just 4 or 5 sophomores that got invited to the camp. And I think he's going to learn a few lessons early on, but I think he has the talent if he can keep that focus to have a pretty good showing out there.
To develop your overall basketball game. And there's a degree of toughness that in order to play in certain areas, you have to be physical.
The kids on the west side, it's a passion for them. They know that this is their only way and the only means of getting out of the ghetto.
I've seen so many kids at that age, they believe they're so good and they believe the NBA is in their future that they think it's inevitable and they stop working hard. But a kid like Tyquone, coming from the west side of Chicago, not having anything handed to him, having to help raise his younger siblings, and have to be a man at a young age, he's hungry. In his head, it's not, oh, I'm gonna work hard to go to the NBA. In his head, it's, I'm dribbling this ball for my life. His whole neighborhood's on his back. If you walk around his neighborhood with him, everybody in the neighborhood knows him. And Tyquone feels that pressure. And I think he's the type of kid that can live up to it.
Put your hard hat on and let's do this work. Your superstars that come out of or have played in Chicago, your Michael Jordans, your Derrick Roses, your Dwayne Wades, and so forth, everything about them shows high-level competitiveness, skills, and how tough they are.
Not only just be good at basketball, but to go out there and be great. And not be great once, be great over and over and over again.
Or they're more harder on themselves than any other individual is, and that's Chicago basketball.
Most promising prospect in the camp, and there were several. Narrowed it down to one young man, Tyquone Greer, Chicago.